Next on the National Geographic Channel. In the heart of high-paced Manhattan, tradition prevails. Hasidic Judaism prospers on Only for God. Or on our animal network, Nat Geo Wild. These 20 snakes are drop-dead gorgeous. See them where it's safe on World's Deadliest Snakes. Only for God, Inside Hasidism starts now on the National Geographic Channel.
They live by the ancient laws of Judaism.
Everything I do is only for God.
I can get more anti-Semitic attacks with this look because it yells Jew.
I don't mind being considered crazy. I think I'm pretty crazy, but I just don't think I'm crazy because I don't believe.
You're going to be matched up regardless of whether you're capable or competent or not. You're going to get a woman. It's a right.
When a woman gets married, she wants to keep her hair for her husband.
I was shivering. I was literally shivering. I was sure that God was going to strike me dead.
We try to create a seamless bridge between heaven and earth, between matter and spirit, between us and God.
This is Hasidism in the 21st century. This could be Russia or Poland in the 1800s, but it is New York in the 21st century. This is the inside of a Hasidic synagogue, a place few outsiders see. Yoel is the son of the community's rebbe, or spiritual leader.
So in Hasidism, one of the most important things to do is to promote always joy. In the Torah, it says that the reason why humans are punished is not that you didn't serve God, but if you don't serve God with joy, that is the problem.
The glass jar would broke over except if you put it in the pantry. You want to check if it's in the pantry?
Yoel Lebowitz and his wife Toby were introduced through a matchmaker, like most Hasidic couples.
Most of the time, a matchmaker, somebody in the community, somebody who knows your parents or knows you, will think of some boy, her nephew, her neighbor, her son's friend, and will say, oh, I think that'll be good for so-and-so, and she'll make the phone call generally to the parents, because the girl and the boy are still young.
Boys and girls are kept separate until they are ready for marriage, to prevent premarital sex.
They have databases of hundreds or thousands of girls and boys. They're up to date to every school and every grade. And then you sit together for as long as you feel. And usually it's not too long. It's like a few hours because you feel uncomfortable. This is this girl I've never seen in my life. And okay, I know so much about her, it's already creepy.
Yoel was 22 and Toby was 20 when they met for the first time.
Traditionally, Hasidic people have sit-ins, which is like you meet in your living room. And 5 minutes into the conversation, I was like, okay, this is the kind of guy I would marry.
We looked at each other, and it's as if a spark, it's like two wires coming together.
After just 22 hours, they were engaged. They were married 2 months later.
I agree that it sounds crazy. I thought so too. Like when I used to hear my teacher say, oh, when you marry who, your parents know what's best for you, and I would think, yeah, right, these people are not really happy. Those marriages don't work out. And I really thought so. I really, really believed it until I met my husband.
Toby and Yoel have 3 children. Hasidim average perhaps 8 per family. They take the first biblical commandment to be fruitful and multiply literally.
I come from a family of 3. It's not enough. I have 3 children right now. I know it's not enough. So I always joke that I want to have a set of twins by surrogate, and then another one when I'm 40. And it's also normal for people to ask you, so when are you going to have your next one, or what's wrong?
Yoel and Toby Lebowitz are among the estimated 180,000 Hasidic Jews in the United States, out of a total of 6.5 million Jewish people. Hasidim live each day according to the 613 commandments in the Bible.
Everything I do is only for God. Wake up in the morning, the very first thing we do is we acknowledge to God that He is, that He's given us another day to live.
Like other young Hasidic men, 20-year-old Matisyahu Devlin devotes 14 hours a day to prayer and studying religious texts. But Matisyahu is a little different. He's the son of a Catholic father and a Jewish mother, and he's only been a practicing Jew for 2 years. After getting into trouble at home in Pennsylvania, Matisyahu left for New York City, looking for a new life.
I had just met a boy in Starbucks who was Jewish, and at the time I didn't know I was Jewish, and this boy told me because my mother was Jewish that I was Jewish. So he sent me off to this place 770. So I went there actually looking for a place to sleep and for food.
What he found at 770, the main synagogue in Crown Heights, was even more fulfilling.
Can't really explain it, but it was just something just clicked and made me realize that this is where I should be. And I just had a flash, just for a few moments, how I saw how all these events in my life, how this led to this.
A major part of Matisyahu's religious duties is to bring other Jews closer to their religion.
Right now they have this whole little market, so we're just like kind of looking, trying to see if we can like pick out like who's Jewish. Ready to do it? Let's do it. All right. Jewish, sir? Yeah? You want to rent a pillar? Jewish? They're Jewish, totally. To fill in? Oh, great. Let's have to fill in. Inside the box is a piece of parchment that has written words from the Torah, and that's in there, and that corresponds to the heart. Then the one on the head, it sits right on your forehead, just between your eyes in the middle. And inside there also there's parchments, and that corresponds to the brain, in order that it should bring godliness into your heart, into your brain. You know what you read Hebrew? Yeah.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kvod Melchuto L'olam Va'ed, Adonai Eloheinu.
Up until 2 years ago, Matisyahu was a regular teenager.
Of course, you're still gonna, have that time now and then where you're gonna think about maybe a previous girlfriend, or you're just gonna think about women in general. That you miss being around them. But it really makes a wedding and being married so special.
In just a few weeks, Matisyahu is making a big trip home. He may have the chance to finally hear what his Catholic father thinks about his choice.
This is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Shabbos is in 3 hours. Everybody does their last-minute shopping. So this place is a riot, right?
From sundown on Friday to sundown Saturday each week, Hasidic Jews observe Shabbos, the Jewish day of rest. It's a time to spend with family and in prayer.
You can't use any electronic devices. You can't turn on the oven, can't turn on a car, can't handle money, can't turn on the fire. And you can't cook, so people have to buy their food. So now everyone is doing the Shabbos shopping, basically.
From a family of Hasidic rabbis, Loser, short for Elazar, abandoned the Hasidic world 2 years ago.
It all started after I got married. Because before you're married, you live in your parents' house. They control what you bring in the house, what you take out of the house. They control when you leave, when you come, when you go. So you have no freedom. Everything that says in the Bible and in the Talmud and in every commentary, in every book written in Hebrew is true. It's fact. It's indisputable. This is me actually in yeshiva learning.
Loser started doubting God when he was 17 and at yeshiva.
But there are certain things that you can't question. You can't think outside of the box. You can't question the fact that God created the world. I mean, I'm being called crazy for suggesting that the world evolved, for suggesting Darwin's theory to a Hasidic Jew. I'm considered nuts. You're not supposed to smoke on Saturday, on Shabbos. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to smoke. If God wants, he can kill me. If he doesn't exist. So I took out a cigarette, and I was shivering. I was literally shivering. I was in the back of my friend's house, in the backyard, lit it up. I started smoking, and I was sure that God was going to strike me dead. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
When Loser gave up Hasidism, he said goodbye to his wife, his children, and his entire family.
I had no apartment, I had no job, no wife. I went from top of the world to having absolutely nothing. I mean, I was broke. I had nothing. I had nowhere to go. My parents didn't want me in their house.
Now at 25 years old, Loser Twersky is trying to figure out what to do next. Inside this typical American home north of New York City lives a very atypical couple, Yoel and Toby Lebowitz.
And this is the bar. Although I'm not a real drinker, but when guests come, I like to entertain them. And it came with the house, so I didn't destroy it. This is a mezuzah. Every Jewish home has it. This is just a little fancy. I got it from Israel, and it has the Western Wall inscribed. You kiss it whenever you pass by. This one is removable, but most are not. There's a parchment, and inside it says the Shema is from an excerpt from the Bible, the Torah. It's for spiritual security.
Yoel and Toby live by biblical rules and rituals that help them through each day.
It's kind of like living within a frame almost makes life, because you can go from here till there. So it's kind of like being guided.
Everything is decided for them, from food to dress. Yoel and Toby live by strict dietary laws. No pork or shellfish. No mixing dairy with meat. Some scholars say the ancient rules were simply intended to keep people healthy.
Then there's kosher food. You don't eat anything except just natural things like fruits, vegetables, but any packaged or processed thing needs a certification. So you'll notice on every product, especially here in America, most of the products have a little symbol that it's kosher.
They reject much of Western culture as shameless and dangerous.
Being Hasidic in 2011 is probably harder than being Hasidic ever was, because we really want to protect our children from the dangers of, internet and other media.
There's no filter in TV, so you can't filter out the women singing, the immodest dressing. So it has been banned many years ago. Modesty is probably one of the most important things in Orthodox Jewish life, especially in Hasidic life. Because modesty is basically what secures us all. It secures us and it secures others.
A Hasidic woman doesn't want to attract attention. So she's careful about that. So not wearing perfume in the streets, not making noise with your shoes, not having huge earrings. She should look beautiful, she should look like a princess, but not like a jewelry showcase. What do you think, little guy? This one or this one?
That one.
All married Hasidic women must cover their hair, either with a scarf or wig or both, even at home, in case of an unexpected male visitor.
Basically, don't use your beauty to attract other men.
Hair is the crown and glory of a woman. So when a woman gets married, she wants to keep her hair for her husband.
Yoel accepts the strong reactions to his clothing, sidelocks, and beard.
When you go out in the world, people respect me more and people look up, which is nice and beautiful. And at the same time, I can get more anti-Semitic attacks with this look because it yells Jew.
It's nice sometimes to, show, yes, I'm Jew and fully Jewish.
Twenty-four-year-old Fagi Meir gave up being a Hasid several months ago. She never felt comfortable in the community, even as a child.
I just always believed I'm incredibly dumb. That's just what I was led to believe, sort of. It was actually from the age of 3 that I already showed no interest in Yiddish or Hebrew. I wanted to transition out at a very fast speed, and it was just like, it was so challenging, like emotionally, the whole transition.
Tonight, Fagi is at Footsteps, an organization that helps members of ultra-religious Jewish communities learn the basics of American life. Many are ostracized by their family and friends.
And my parents, they were like point blank, like, okay, you have to get out of here. We're not supporting you. That's it. We're just cutting you off because you're not religious anymore. Of course, they took that back at a certain point, and now I'm still living with them.
So the whole thing is about... Many people that come here don't have basic secular education. They have very good yeshiva education, the men. When we test people in our computer lab, what their level is, it's often 5th grade.
If I would have stayed, I would have gotten married, I would have had as many children as I probably could, but I would have had my life set out for me. I now have to make choices every single day. I know that sounds, a lot of times it sounds liberating, and it is, but at the same time, it's also very scary.
Leaving a very closed, insular community in a place like New York City can be dangerous. I mean, there's a lot of places you can fall.
People talk about stuff that I have no idea what it is and telling me names. I'm like, oh, you don't know who Elvis is? I'm like, no, I don't. So if I'm in school, I feel embarrassed. But if I hear it here, for example, and I say, was he an actor? He's like, no, he was a singer. So I learned something.
People that grow up secularly take for granted. And just like, oh, the Beatles, Freud.
Well, how would I know?
Like, how does that become...
Learning how to deal with the opposite sex is a topic that bewilders the entire group.
There were so many new situations. In May, for the first time, I was friends with a guy. That was the first time for me. It was a very new situation. It was kind of weird and awkward.
I mean, you're separated all your life from the opposite sex. To learn all the stuff surrounding relationships is completely new.
You're going to be matched up regardless, or whether you're capable or competent or not, you're going to get a woman. It's a right. It's an entitlement. And so, yeah, it's a serious challenge for people leaving, here it's a battle.
Oh, this is my little bedroom. So when I got this apartment, I went to buy furniture. I had in mind to have a girl over. And if you're going to have a girl over, you need a big bed. Yeah, and before marriage, there's absolutely no contact between men and women. You don't have any friends who are women. You don't have any girlfriends. There's no hanging out with girls. In the synagogue, it's separated. Men and women are separated. This is my little bathroom. I love these slippers. You know why? Because no Hasidic Jew would ever wear orange. I think it's so cool to wear something as crazy as this. It just reminds me, these little things remind me of my freedom, getting a red towel. I mean, no self-respecting Hasidic Jew would use a red towel or wear orange slippers.
Most Hasidic men stick to dark suits and white shirts. They also have sidelocks, or payas.
You shouldn't cut the 5 corners of your head, which is basically here,
Here, here, here, and here. So, I mean, I really want to get rid of them, really badly, but for many reasons I don't. Number one, I don't have the balls. Just don't have the balls to cut them off. So I leave them. See, but I don't make them every day, I just put them behind my ear. Just mess them up, put them like this. I feel very Jewish. I just have my own version of Judaism. I do my own version of Judaism.
Loser has a girlfriend now, but it's been a lonely road.
The thing I miss most is the sense of belonging. You know, I have a people, I have a community, you know, I have a support group. Who's gonna look after me if I'm in danger, if I'm in the jam? No one. That doesn't happen in the Hasidic community. You're always looked after. People worrying for you. There are people caring for you all the time.
26-year-old Mendel Jacobson believes that Hasids have isolated themselves too much, and he wants to change that.
What it means to be a Hasid is not just taking anything for granted. This is how it's supposed to be. Life is supposed to be this way. You're supposed to keep Shabbat, eat kosher, be kind, believe in God, study. But a Hasid is trying to infuse all of that with a soul, with a spirit. You try to create a seamless bridge between what we would call physicality and spirituality, between body and soul, between heaven and earth, between matter and spirit, between us and God.
He is a rabbi at a synagogue in Soho, a fashionable neighborhood in Lower Manhattan.
No, I would not call myself a typical Hasid. The entire message of Hasidism is not to be typical. To be typical, you don't need Hasidism. Baal came because Judaism was becoming typical. The Hasid is supposed to go beyond the letter of the law. The letter of the law says, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Hasid takes one step further and says, why? What's the purpose?
Mendel's big influence is his father, a highly regarded author and scholar in the Hasidic world, Rabbi Simon Jacobson.
Hashem, God said to Moses, told him, build me a mishkan, then an ark, and Kevin.
So God told him first, make for me a sanctuary, then an ark, and then the vessels.
Yeah,
and Moshe changed the order.
So which one are you? I think like all movements, but people become very much protective over their way, and they forget the soul, which is that God created us all on this earth, and we have responsibility for each other. So I have no problem with different cultures. Everyone has their own so-called private rituals. But the lack of openness and embracing everybody, and it's not that I'm the only one that's right, and everyone else is wrong, I think goes counter to the philosophy of Hasidism.
In Eastern Europe, 250 years ago, a teacher known as the Baal Shem Tov created a new movement within Judaism. It was called Hasidism. Respecting every individual's unique soul, regardless of background, education, or experience, it soon had thousands of followers. 2 centuries later, the annihilation of European Jews in World War II would decimate the Hasidic community. Some of the survivors rebuilt their lives in Brooklyn, New York. Many were careful to keep themselves apart from the rest of the world.
There are Hasidim who have that attitude, that the world is an enemy, I mean the secular world, and we have to do everything possible to shut out that enemy, which means not have televisions and not even go into the internet and so on. So frankly, personally, I don't think it's in the spirit of Hasidic teachings that we have to live in that type of defensive mode. Hasidism really was a way of embracing the world, but at the same time recognizing that our job is to spiritualize the material, because there is a fundamental tension between matter and spirit, and between the inner and the outer, between, let's call it, survival and self-interest, and serving a higher purpose. And you have to find a way to integrate the two. So here you see the difference between a visionary and an architect. In theory, there's no difference. In practice, there is. Right?
The Jewish tradition says you have to make a difference in this world. My father taught me that. And yes, if that's the case, I very much follow in those footsteps.
I go to my class. You go to yours. Well, good night.
Mendel will soon be following in the footsteps of generations before him. In a week, he'll be getting married. As a newcomer to the community, 20-year-old Matisyahu Devlin has lived in the Hasidic neighborhood of Crown Heights for nearly 2 years.
Everything we need is here. You don't have to walk a few blocks. It's very great.
You're living with a very large Jewish community, so to be here is not just, you're not just living with other Jews, you're part of a very big family and everyone's here.
How you doing, Sal?
How you doing?
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
What's going on? Everything all right?
Yeah, everything's great. Thought I'd come take a look at hats.
Nearly all of the Hasidic men in Crown Heights wear black hats. Jewish law states that covering your head is honoring God. And as a new member of the community, Matisyahu wants the best hat he can afford.
When we pray, we wear a hat. When we go to see the rabbi, we go with a hat. A yarmulke, a plain skull cap does not do it for us. We usually carry a hat and a skull cap underneath. And when we pray, we wear a hat all the time. Take a look in the mirror.
Yes, sure.
The most expensive hats are the Borsalino hats. They run from $200 and up.
Good size, huh?
But as a young yeshiva student, today Matisyahu will have to settle for having his first hat spruced up.
Steam this for me, yeah?
Sure. Put the steam on. And the idea of the steam is to take off the dust, to clean the hat, and then if it needs a little shaping, the steam makes it softer to work with the shape, to make the shape a little bit nicer.
For Matisyahu, wearing the right hat is a symbol for his deeper transformation into a member of the Hasidic community.
Thank you.
Scared.
No charge.
Scared.
And the next time we come around, we'll do some more of that business.
All right, take care, Sal.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Hi, what's your name? Julia. Julia. Hi, Julia. Nice to meet you. My name's Natalie.
27-year-old Natalie Ling left behind her family, her friends, and even her country to become Hasidic.
I always felt a deep sense there was something else other than just the physical, material life that we practice.
She helps run the dormitory at a religious school for women in Crown Heights.
Right, fine. Okay, enjoy.
Natalie completed her degree in philosophy at the University of Cambridge. She considered a career as a psychotherapist, but she decided to pursue Hasidism instead.
I never decided consciously to come here and become observant. I just thought I'll make the one step and just see what it's like. On the one hand, I was coming to an environment that was completely alien to me, a community that I didn't really know much about, where I walk down the streets and all the men are basically dressed in black and white. The women are wearing skirts. It's certainly not something I was used to. But on the other hand, I felt like I'd come home. I miss perhaps not having sort of fun for the sake of fun. It doesn't really fit into a Hasidic lifestyle. The idea of, fun and happiness is key and core, but the idea of doing it for the sake of itself isn't. And I think I miss that on a certain level. You know, everyone wants to just be able to indulge in their pleasures, and a Hasid tries not to. We want to try to become more refined human beings.
Natalie likes to visit the gravesite of her community's rebbe, or spiritual leader, to pray and commune with the divine.
It's a place where we can pray for our needs, to draw down the blessings. It's a place of connection, ultimately, and a place that can provide inspiration and can reignite your relationship. I guess what brings people here is guts, an ability to do something outside the box, to step outside the way you've been brought up and to do something different.
Natalie is eager to find a husband and start a Jewish home.
I think whether you're observant or not observant, most people want to start a family, so certainly that's what I'd like. You know, I want it to be with the Torah values and specifically guided by the Rebbe and a Hasidic way of life.
One of the most sacred events for a young Hasid is getting married. And today, Mendel Jacobson is hours away from the single most important moment of his life, his wedding to Devorah Small.
Oh yeah, I feel great. I feel at peace, which is interesting actually. Yeah, we just flew in from New York City. We just landed, morning of the wedding ceremony. It was a great flight, I fell asleep. And now we're heading to the hotel.
Mendel and Devorah have not seen or spoken to one another in a week, a custom in their community.
It's about creating eternity. You know, marriage today has become somewhat like a party. You know, here it's about really sanctity, it's about eternity, it's about knowing the moment of truth that lasts forever. I'm already welling up, you know, just thinking about it.
Shortly before his wedding, Mendel follows tradition by going before the other men of the community to speak about the mysticism of marriage.
And then at a certain point, after I'm done repeating this Hasidic discourse, explaining the esoteric and mystical meanings of the whole event, the whole wedding, there will be a procession. And I will see the Devorah for the first time in a week when I enter the room that she's in.
For modesty, Mendel covers Devorah's face with an opaque veil.
It's a custom to have it under the stars, even if the stars aren't out yet, it's still technically under the sky.
Everything that is done has meaning behind it. Nothing is superfluous, nothing is just like a thing. The tradition has been done for hundreds of years, in some cases thousands of years.
Teres Hasidus, Zirchas Mazel Tov, and the Rebbe's signature. English translation. By the grace of Hashem,
and they too continue a ring in that eternal golden chain of Jewish continuity and eternity.
The couple is swept off to a room where they will be alone together for the first time as a married couple.
They're privately with each other as a husband and wife. They'll be there a few minutes, and then they will go out, probably take some pictures, and then greet their guests, and the party begins.
So you'll see, actually, at the wedding ceremony, men and women are separate, even husbands and wives, because it's celebrating the soul of it. You don't want to focus on the body, you want to focus on the soul, the unity. And the reason it's just a great celebration is because it's literally like the creation of the world. It's two opposites coming together to create a new whole. Marriage.
Devorah completes me. So it's very difficult for me to even imagine life any other way.
Today, Matisyahu is leaving for a big trip home, a visit to his family in York, Pennsylvania, where he and his 10 siblings were raised Catholic.
So I grew up my life going to Catholic school, church on Sundays.
His mother was Jewish, but not very observant.
Throughout high school, my friends would always make these, comments to me like, "Oh, you're such a Jew," or things like this. Even though I didn't, know I was Jewish, everyone knew my mother was Jewish. So my friends, they'd make comments to me all throughout high school, "Oh, you're such a Jew," or "Stop being a Jew, Matt," So once becoming religious, now, they'd be like, "And you really are a Jew."
The only thing Jewish they observed at home was Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, commemorating an ancient victory over the Greeks who tried to force Jews to assimilate. And Matisyahu is planning to celebrate this Hanukkah with his family for the first time as a Hasid.
Animals can't catch poachers. That's where these guys come in.
Shebang. We're hunters of men.
Wardens who got serious game. Wild Justice, all new episodes every Sunday night at 10 on National Geographic.
It's a 4-hour drive back to York, Pennsylvania, and Matisyahu doesn't get there often.
As for how people feel about what I'm doing, I think at first my family maybe thought it was a little different, but now everyone just seems mostly very supportive.
But Matisyahu has never spoken about it with his father.
He's a religious man in Catholicism. My father's not Jewish. Personally, I don't really, whatever my father don't really speak about it, and I don't really know what his opinion is, so I don't really want to say anything.
Matisyahu finally arrives in York, a quiet town located in south-central Pennsylvania, where Jewish people make up less than 1% of the population, the place where he was brought up.
Coming back here with the beard and with the black hat, it's definitely a little different, because everyone knows I'm like this crazy religious Jew now. Hey, Maddie, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Thank God, how are you? Good?
Good. Hey, brother boy, how are you?
Thank God, doing great.
Good.
I forgot that
Matisyahu is the 6th out of 11 children.
Good to see you.
Maybe I might stay later. I might maybe go to Lancaster for Shabbos and then stay a couple more days after.
Yeah?
Okay, so I'm gonna make my dinner. I'm gonna make my food. I'm gonna make my dinner.
Here, I didn't eat yet, man.
Okay, you wanna eat with me?
Yeah, I'll eat with
you. Wait a
you.
few minutes? Yeah, let me just grab my food.
Matisyahu can't eat most food from his own family's kitchen. He even has his own appliances set aside in the basement.
I know both in my mind and in my heart that this is the right thing to do as a Jew. So therefore, there's no reason for me to sit around and dwell on maybe this is right, maybe it's wrong.
It's sundown, and Matisyahu is getting ready to light the Hanukkah menorah and celebrate.
Just checking out what you're doing. What are you doing? Oh, what a nice. Oh, I'm in your way now.
With my mother, becoming religious has really done wonders for our relationship. Growing up most of my life, my mother and I did not get along very well, mainly through my own fault.
Can we burn it on the kitchen table?
Dad has the best opinion. Dad, what do you think? You think maybe you think this? I mean, I don't think it gets smoky from. I never saw it get smoky, but this is your picture, so I don't want to. Well, you don't want to smoke all my. I mean, it's never smoky.
Yeah, I know. I didn't. No, you watched one.
Here, put this on.
It's good.
You could have one too if you want. I don't know if you want to. I gave Andrew has one. If you want to feel left out, doesn't matter.
Look here, I got Guilford too. Here, look, I got Guilford.
Great. This one's a little small. Yeah, everyone's gonna sing, right?
Sing what we know.
Okay. Yeah, of course. You're singing that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Kishanu b'mitzvei sav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner Chanukah. Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Happy Hanukkah.
At a time, I think, when he was very vulnerable, you know, people that were God-fearing and loving took him in, because it could have turned out differently.
He just seems so settled and so much more, I don't even want to use the word happy, because that's not the right word, like peaceful, and he just seems so much better.
And you're always Catholic. But once you've been baptized, it's, you know, theologically, it's an indelible mark on you, and you can walk away from it, but you still have that, you know, mark.
He hasn't necessarily said, wow, I love what you're doing, but he never spoke against it. He sees his son who is doing something, he's religious and he's following God, and I think for him, it's good for him.
You know, you come into New York, like a large city with so many millions of people, and, you know, it feels very lonely, you know. You go through the streets, you know, everyone knows where they belong. It's overwhelming, you know. When you see like couples walking in the street, holding hands, it's kind of heartwarming in a way, in an odd way. I mean, you know, people being free to express their feelings, you know, to express their emotions, to express their passion about each other, you know.
For now, Loser has no plans to return to his old life, but he can't say he'll never go back.
It's inevitable. You know, I was raised so certain that is the right thing to do. There's no way it wouldn't cross my mind that maybe I'm wrong. And that's a very tough thing to deal with. Dealing with regret is a very tough thing. I mean, I don't live my life in regret, but it does cross my mind every once in a while.
Simon Jacobson believes current Hasidism must find a balance between tradition and a fast-changing contemporary world.
I welcome you all that are here, and as well as online audience. It means my God.
So I think there's going to be some pain involved, because there are going to be Hasidim who are going to, so to speak, fall out of the system. It's inevitable. But at the same time, I think there'll be some that will become real Hasidim of the 21st century, who know how to embrace the developments of this world and actually bring godliness into it, instead of running the other way. And I believe, and firmly believe, that these teachings will spread, and it will change the world. That's the ultimate future of Hasidism.
Back in Brooklyn, Matisyahu has resumed his studies.
I lived one way for 18 years, and then all of a sudden I decide I should be a religious Jew. I know, both in my mind and in my heart, that this is the right thing to do as a Jew. God exists, and he runs the show. That I'm a Jew, and I have to be proud of that. And what a Jew does, this is what I have to do.
For Yoel and Toby Lebowitz, it's all about faith and family.
By the corner, there's a house with a big bear and a blue dreidel.
Tonight, they celebrate a traditional Hasidic Hanukkah, commemorating a time when a tiny nation defeated the ancient Greeks.
Well, every holiday is really very important. This one specifically, I think, the Greeks weren't going to kill the Jews. They just wanted to assimilate us. That's a mighty lockdown. It's a lot about the family. It's a lot about the women and children. Our children take pride in the fact that we are different, And we're holding on to something that's so ancient and so special.
So I think Hasidism in a core is a beautiful thing, and I just wish that everyone who is a Hasid, and even who is not a Hasid, should be able to see the light and feel the joy of real Hasidus, and indulge in it, and live a beautiful, happy life.